Hey, everybody. If you want to go ahead and start smashing that like button for me, that would be awesome. We're going to give just a little bit of time for everybody to get in before we start reading Jeffrey's words about his own case. And then we're going to take a look at this. This is part of the archives that I found. And it actually has a transcript of one of the detective interviews of the victims. Like the stuff we can't hear, it has transcripts in it. And I think that's probably going to take up our evening. Did everybody have a good evening, afternoon? Hey, Andrea. We're just going to give a couple minutes for everybody to get in because I have a feeling that everybody's going to want to sit here. Jeffrey's own words about his case. And, spoiler alert, but trigger warning, as you can expect, he doesn't really take accountability for what he did. It's probably going to be triggering for some people. So just be aware of that. We're just going to go until about 8:35, 8:40 to let everybody get in here. And then we'll get rolling. So I found this. You guys know I've been doing just the raw review of the files, going through to figure everything out and piece all of the stuff together and see what's in there and what they'll let us see. And I just happened upon this and I was kind of taking a look at it, just kind of reading through it. It came up in a keyword search of something. Hey, P-Dog. Thank you, Kay. It came up in a keyword search and it was just like a big like run-on sentence and I was like, what on earth is this? And I opened it and it took me about one paragraph to realize that it was a statement that Jeffrey Epstein had written out, because it literally starts out, I've stayed quiet this whole time and not shared my story, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God. I haven't seen anybody talking about this. I haven't even seen Parnas talk about it. So it was crazy for me to happen upon that. That's why I made the video saying I'm going to go live and we're going to discuss this. This is going to be the first thing. And we're going to see what he says. I'm not going to even hold you. It's a hard read. You can clearly see as he was typing it that there was something going on, that either he was emotionally upset or he was angry or something, because there's a lot of typos in there, some misspellings, just basic like typing mistakes, stuff you would see from people who don't like type very often. All right, let's give it like one more minute. I'm just waiting for, do I have a mod in yet? I think I'm just waiting for a mod to get in. All right, I'll be right back. Stay put. Don't go anywhere. Can y'all hear me now? What the heck? Okay. I'm gonna be very, very blunt here. Some of the stuff that's in this, I want to be able to just read it, but we're gonna have filter issues. So, as I'm reading this, I need you guys like wearing out your fingertips, smashing that like button, sending the go populars, things like that. Thank you, Jess. Okay, good. Miss Dre is in here. She's one of mine. Because I want to be able to just read this to you without having to do all of the stupid stuff of getting past the filters. But I need you guys to be like all over it so that it doesn't get caught and we don't get like restrictions and stuff. So let's just go ahead and get right into this. There is no title on this. Like I said, it took me about the first paragraph to figure out that this was Jeffrey Epstein's own freaking words. I am going to make my little bubble go away so that you guys can see the whole page. I will bring my bubble back once we get through this. It is 7 pages, and like I said, it's all written like this. Literally, it's all just run together. So it's going to be a bit of a long read. Just hang in there with me, okay? Here we go. Let me get rid of my little bubble. All right. Let's start. Just kidding. Let's try that again. I have up till now not to, oh, I'm sorry. I tell you guys every time where you can find this so that you can go see it for yourself and do your own fact checking. This is going to be in dataset 9 EFTA 00583305. Again, that's EFTA 00583305. It says, I have up until now not told my side of the story. I was advised by attorneys and PR people to just stay quiet and and it will all go away. I have received the same advice for 5 years now. I realize my silence is now causing collateral damage to my friends and other innocent bystanders. The time has come to let, I'm not really sure why, the hounds of investigative reporters loose on that, driven by money, have made false claims, concocted malicious fabrications, and have expanded their fictions now to include others in my orbit. I was investigated for soliciting underage girls. Smash the crap out of that like button, guys. To be precise, girls under the age of 18 who were brought to my house by their close friends, worked in local massage facilities. West Palm Beach has scores of parlors, happy ending places that routinely advertise the same in the same local papers that have chastised my behavior, or midnight ballerina clubs. See Palm Beach Post greater than classifieds or less than classified. I don't know. I am and have always been a bachelor. I have used massage parlor girls, licensed massage therapists, and girls with no massage experience. I have never ever used force, coercion, or in fact had, the dirty, with any of these girls. When the police investigated me, went through my garbage, searched my house, they found X toys, no cameras or camera equipment. He put that in all caps. No cameras or camera equipment. Nothing, in fact, out of the ordinary from many homes of single men. There were never any photos of underage girls. Never, which we know is a lie. A careful reading of any law enforcement document makes that clear. The camera that was referred to in the search warrant was the camera installed in the house with the help of the local police to catch my houseman. That's supposed to be Juan Alisi. He put Joe Alisi, J-O-H, Alisi, the same houseman mentioned in many articles. He was breaking into the house and stealing money after being fired. The camera caught him in the act. These cameras were the only cameras at the house, security cameras. The local state attorney, after conducting an extensive investigation and interviewing the girls herself, an ex-crimes prosecutor with over 13 years experience who had herself authored the more tough legislations dealing with ex-crimes, said in her own words, there were no real victims here. Trigger warning. I'm just saying trigger warning. The girls knew they were going to a house in Palm Beach. They had their boyfriends or family members drive them to the house and wait outside. They then encouraged their friends to go. Many of the girls interviewed were in their mid-20s, some in their early 30s, some younger than 18. The girl that the newspaper have referred to as a 14-year-old told the police that she had repeatedly told me that she was 18. She was a senior in high school. Like many of the massage parlor girls, in other words, to the police, said the reason she said that was that she was told that if she didn't, Mr. Epstein would not let her in the house. These reports are available. The state attorney offered me to take a plea to aggravated assault with only probation. My attorneys told me that it would be a forever blight on my record, and I should refuse the deal. I did so. The state attorney, Barry Krischer, took the unusual step of bringing the facts before the state grand jury. In Florida, this happens most often in capital murder cases, not ladies of the night in someone's own home. To be certain that the public would not criticize the outcome, the state grand jury was given all of the evidence and returned a verdict of solicitation of a lady of the night. Solicitation has no registrable offense, meaning that he doesn't have to be on the SO registry, that carried with it a mandatory sentence or a sentence of mandatory probation. And he capitalized mandat, and then lowercase for the Tory. Probation, mandatory probation, one of the few statutes that has such a designation. This charge, however, was met with great disdain by the local police chief. He believed something untoward had gone on for the grand jury to return such a mild verdict after his department had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars examining the behavior of a resident that rarely left his house. Girls seemed to come and girls and go, girls of all ages, some masseuses, is what he's trying to say, but he put some G's in there. Some masseuses interviewed were in their 60s, some were men. The police chief, unhappy with the decision of 12 Florida citizens that weighed the evidence, took the unprecedented step of realizing the raw police reports to the press, the raw sewage of an investigation not corroborated, or it turned out not even transcribed from the actual interview tapes correctly, before a plea to the indictment was entered and the case was still open. He released the reports and then sent a letter off to the parents of some of the girls and to the FBI asking for their assistance. Only 2 days after the grand jury decided that I should only be charged with solicitation of ladies of the night, not underage girls, not PIMP, ING, but using ladies of the night as a John, I received my first federal subpoena. That resulted after a 13-month investigation and can be read in my non-prosecution agreement. Was the federal government threatened me with a 50-page indictment alleging that I had broken federal law, though all actions took place in my home in Florida. The girls were from Florida and no interstate travel took place. Mind you guys, he is writing this in 2017, I can only assume 2017, 2018. Because he talks about having taken the deal that they told him to further on down and everything. So this is after pretty much everything is coming out and he's getting like federal indictments that say, hey, dude, you don't get to do this, right? Okay, continuing on, we're right here. The AUSA said that my secretary had made telephone calls to the girls. Many of those calls were return calls, and the use of the telephone by my secretary to confirm massage appointments was equivalent federally to some guy surfing the internet, knowing full well that the person on the other end of the connection is underage and trying to coerce them into some illegal activity. The internet luring statute says that someone uses the means of interstate commerce, in my case as phone, to knowingly coerce underage persons into X. This was the first time in history that the statute would be stretched, twisted beyond all recognition in an attempt to threaten prosecution. I had hired Ken Starr, former Solicitor General, Alan Dershowitz, law professor, Roy Black, trial attorney, Joe Whitley, former attorney. Oh, I think that's supposed to be assistant attorney general, and Guy Lewis, former U.S. attorney in South Florida, to defend me against what each one of them has said was no federal crime. Ken Starr wrote a brief using a federalism argument that was clear that my crime of being a John could not be a federal crime, to no avail. What the federal government required was as follows. They required that my defense team, not the feds, but my team, go to the state attorney, ask that he up my charge to a PIMPING charge, a charge that carried with it SO registration. They would not give him the facts to support that charge or give me evidence that they said that I had, under Florida law, received money from these girls to offer them out as ladies of the night. Florida is very clear that the PIMP must have a financial benefit from the crime. It would be our responsibility to ask the state attorney to up my charge and agree to sentence me to 18 months in jail and a year of house arrest. That's all caps, so I'm just emphasizing, in the history of the state attorney's office, they have no other instance of someone requesting a higher charge than the grand jury decided and a harsher penalty. In addition, the federal government would require me to pay a minimum of $50,000 to each girl on a list of girls that they would choose. A list that would be kept secret, and no names on the list would be disclosed to me or my attorneys until I was already firmly in a jail cell. A list that we would not only be obliged to pay money to, but if any of the girls did not accept the $50,000, I would be required to pay an attorney chosen by the government to represent the girls to enable them to sue me, and I would have to pay their attorney's fees. I would be given the names after being in jail, not be allowed to appeal this decision, pay the girls, some of whom I've never even met, and if I choose to fight this deal, I would be threatened over and over with being in breach of my agreement. The attorney chosen hired his own daughter, a sitting state prosecutor who received special leave to represent these girls, and though she continued to receive her state salary, billed me over $800,000 in a period of a year to represent girls suing me. When my side raised objections, we were told that if we fought this, the government would declare a breach and indict me. The AUSA actually files an affidavit with the court that stated that the protection from the government that Epstein, though he bargained for, really is illusionary. We can always bring a case against him for the lifespan, I think it's supposed to be lifespan, of any girl we think has been a victim. After serving my sentence, I was sued by many girls on the government list. During many of the depositions taken in those cases, the girls admitted to following let me try that again, because his punctuation, as you can see, is just absolutely wretched. Okay. We're in this section here. We're going to try this again. After serving my sentence, I was sued by many girls on the government list. During many of the depositions taken in those cases, the girls admitted to the following. They had many other clients. They got paid thousands of dollars a week to work in the local massage parlor, X Club. They kept their list of Johns in their Bible. They had abusive boyfriends, abortions, way before they ever met me. And though they claimed SA abuse and various other X claims, most later brought their best friends to the house who also claimed the same abuse in the hopes of getting money. With what the newspapers had called a dream team, each and every lawyer, when they say the result of the negotiation, said with incredulity, We have never seen anything like this before. I had never left my house. The girls had not traveled on my planes or to another state. I had never made money off of these girls. I was a consumer of Ladies of the Night, a John. The government said that they could invoke a statute for travel for the purposes of X. The tourists who had signed on to fake sites advertising X with minors in Cambodia, Thailand, and other third world countries, the government said that they could charge me with traveling to Florida to have X with underage girls, even though X with 16-year-olds is legal in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and X with 17-year-olds legal in New York. They suggest that they would indict me for traveling to Florida for the purpose, I'm sorry, it's all caps, of having X with minors. Notwithstanding the fact that I had a home in Florida for 15 years, regularly traveled to see my brother, mother, and business associates. They said that they thought a novel application could be at least to get me indicted unless I took the state plea deal. I had little choice. The crimes they alleged, no matter what the likelihood of success, carried with them minimum mandatory 10-year sentences. I recognized that I am not a sympathetic figure and had to decide whether to risk a jury trial that would see an older man and young woman that would be paraded in Sunday school outfits for a trial. I have showed poor judgment in the past and have paid a heavy price for those mistakes. I have hope to move forward with my science philanthropy and helping those less privileged than myself. Then came Scott Rothstein. Rothstein was a senior partner at RRA. He is currently serving a 50-year prison sentence for perpetrating the largest fraud in Southern Florida's history. He decided that since X allegations made against me could be used to fleece hundreds of investors out of hundreds of millions of dollars, he recruited Brad Edwards, a small-time Fort Lauderdale attorney who had access to some of the girls on the government list. Scott forged judges' signatures, hid behind attorney-client privilege, Secretary of Legal Doc, work product, cover letter, giving illegal investigative activity the protection normally reserved for lawyers and other legitimate clients. He told investors that I had settled cases with him for hundreds of millions of dollars, but the girls wanted their money now. If they gave him $30 million now, he could give it to the girls who wanted to remain anonymous, and they would go off to the sunset, and the full payment would be made to the investors. Investors that would be getting 50 to 100% return on their money for taking advantage of the same girls who allegedly I came in contact with. Bill Shearer, an attorney in Broward, has filed a 147 complaint against Scott Rothstein and the firm. The attorney for the girls, aware that I would be loath in involved innocent friends in problems that were strictly of my own making, subpoenaed names and tried to smear any friend whose name appeared in print previously. They contacted Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, David Copperfield, innocent bystanders with no knowledge of any of my actions. Whatever! I gotta take a breath. We're only on page 4, y'all. We're only on page 4, y'all. Whew. Okay. I'm going to try and read that again without that Tourette syndrome popping up, okay? They contacted Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, David Copperfield. Innocent bystanders with no knowledge of my actions whatsoever. I settled the case rather than forcing both the girls and the others to be subject to a public questioning of their lives. I can't even begin to tell you how fucking hard that was right there. Like, it gave me pain where my sternum is. It appears that the Rothstein firm had continuing help from the government throughout their civil litigation. Emails received as a result of a recent subpoena show descriptions such as received info from current FBI agents. The former Rothstein partners subpoenaed my attorney for all correspondence regarding my plea with the U.S. Attorney. Though highly unusual, the government sided with the attorneys and agreed we needed to produce all of our correspondence from them to my attorneys. During the civil deposition of my former houseman, Alfredo Rodriguez, attended by a new attorney from the Rothstein firm, whose name appears on the record as Kara Holmes, also appears as Carolyn Holmes, also appears as Kara with a K Holmes. The houseman allegedly said that he had stolen a book from my house with telephone numbers in it that the government wanted. This was in July of 2009. I believe that the attorneys went to outside counsel, Kendall Coffee, and asked whether or not they could buy the book for the $50,000 that the houseman had asked for it. 3 months later, my houseman was set up in a sting by the FBI and the same AUSA that had headed my prosecution. It appears that using a lawyer from the RRA firm, Brad Edwards, as a confidential informant for the government at the same time that Scott Rothstein was using me and my allegations to fleece his victims, the U.S. Attorney's Office was sitting in the Rothstein offices planning a sting operation while right next door, Scott Rothstein was making off to Morocco in an attempt to flee the country. I swear to God, there's a mini novella in here somewhere. I swear to God. Alfredo Rodriguez was prosecuted by the same AUSA and received an 18-month sentence. However, it also appeared that on the very same day of his sting arrest, he bought an illegal pew-pew and was later sentenced to 4 years in prison. Who is Kara with a C, emphasized, Holmes, and what is her role in RRA is still a mystery to us. She appears to be a former FBI agent out of the Chicago office. She joined the Rothstein firm in May of 2009 and joined the Florida bar at the same time. She attended depositions of my pilots and my houseman. She communicated regularly with Brad Edwards and the investigators on my case. The email traffic is extensive. The telephone book that he had stolen from my house was then turned over to the same attorneys who had been told they could not buy it as they would have been buying stolen property. Brad Edwards, the former partner of Scott Rothstein, then used the purloined book, but you can't get the rest of it right? The purloined book to send out letters to everyone in the book asking for additional stories of my wrongdoing in the past 5 years. With the hope of getting new clients, the letter was structured so as to circumvent the ethical rules regarding trolling for clients. There's no ethical rule against him sending letters. You can't chase ambulances. There's a difference. And it depends on what state you're in. Some states you can send them a letter depending on what it is. Like, those letters you get whenever you have a speeding ticket and they take the speeding rolls and the court case dockets and then they send you a letter saying, hey, let me help you solve your speeding ticket. Like that kind of stuff. But you can't, like, if I were to get smashed up in my car tomorrow and an attorney saw me, being wheeled into the hospital, he couldn't come up to me and give me a business card and be like, I can help you. That's not allowed in some states. Anyways, moving on. We're right here. While I was serving my sentence, my lawyers were able to come see me. Only 2 months after being incarcerated, my in-house lawyer came to see me to tell me that as we are now conducting an audit of legal fees paid to date, they had discovered that Gerald Lifcourt, my primary attorney, had taken out cash to the tune of $800K that according to his own account, he was not entitled to. Jesus Christ. $800K seems to be really freaking popular for you. Because didn't you just literally say that the attorney representing the girls billed you in a year for $800K? Like, is that your fallback number? High enough to catch attention, but less than $1 million where people are like, brother, please. Like, what the Okay, anyways, moving on. He had simply prepared invoices that said, please pay another $100K or $200K. Though he had been asking on multiple occasions to substantiate the bills. His response would be, We are working full time for you. I pointed out that his was not the only firm, but he said, "Would you like me to quit?" He eventually returned over 400,000 over a period of time, as he said that his cash flow could not handle the strain. He said that he was still owed for things like taxi fare, coffee, and donuts, detailed for $2.53, that he would keep 400,000. I was told that I should hire Guy Lewis, a former U.S. attorney in the Southern District. Guy, a Southern style gentleman, white suits, fast cars, said that he had a great relationship with the current U.S. attorney, Alex Acosta, and the people in Washington that would potentially need to review whatever happened in South Florida. He wanted a $100K per month retainer, and with his partner, Mike Tien, would represent me. Upon review of his background, it was suggested that he might now have the credibility that he had represented, and rumors were that he had been asked to leave DOJ for inappropriate billing. I told him in no uncertain terms, if this were true, he would need to tell me, as he was representing my credibility with the government, if he had been asked to leave, it would dramatically hurt my chances if it were he making my case to senior officials. He swore up and down. Wait, did we just get a vial? Are you serious? Hold on, guys. Oh, okay, no. Just 10 minutes. I don't care about 10 minutes. Okay. He swore up and down, as Southerners are apt to do, that there was no truth whatsoever to the allegations. Being charged with untrue allegations rang close to my heart, and I chose to side with Guy. Only after my incarceration, when Guy and Mike came to see me in a 9x10 attorney room that smelled like urine, and I told them that I was now being sued by many of the girls on the government list, they expressed their regrets and their willingness to help. However, as they walked out down the dungeon-like hall with the sound of clanging gates in the background, they were unaware of the security cameras and microphones throughout the hallway. They chose to high-five one another on camera and smile with the comment that this would be a couple more years of fees. The guards at the jail, accustomed to some of the most heinous physical crimes imaginable and hardened against most of humanity's foibles, were caught off guard by the exhilaration of the potential of more fees. We're on page 6, guys. We can see the end in sight. X for money, a sensitive subject. The reactions range from Andrew Working, the feminist who considers all enter and then the word course to follow, a form of grape. Man, we've got the word in, and then it's followed by an S, and then the word erding. His authority. Oh, I guess I didn't need to do that. Sorry. Man, now I can't even say it. Man inserting his authority to Jackie Mason that posts that when a man takes a woman for dinner, many times his real motivation is the hope of receiving at the end of the evening. He suggests it is hypercritical for the man to be able to pay the florist for flowers, the doorman for getting a cab, the restaurant for the food, and the liquor store for the gift of wine, but can't pay the only person that performs the actual act without committing a crime. I don't know, ladies, how many dates y'all been on, but the last time I went on a date with a man who bought flowers, had a doorman to call a cab, took me in a cab to a fancy restaurant, and then bought me a bottle of wine after. The last time that happened was never. It's never happened. Hey, Tracina. Let us continue on. Yes, I had X for money. I am a John. Yes, I understand that Ladies of the Night is a crime, and a crime that very few Johns have ever gone to jail for. I am aware that there are strong feelings amongst many people regarding that crime. Many countries have legalized it. Some states have legalized it. Many have a policy of no enforcement. New York City has escort services that openly advertise massage parlors that have neon signs in Midtown. In actual fact, the crime of X for money at the time of my transgressions was under Penal Code 230, equivalent to that of jaywalking unless the girl was under 15. Yes, under 15. He is justifying the ages of these girls. He has slowly gone lower and lower and lower. That was in New York. In Florida, the age of consent is 18. I thought you said it was 17. Further up, you said it was 17, sorry. Misrepresentation of age is not considered an offense, even if the girl worked in an establishment where one has to prove age to work, was met in a bar where they were drinking, where the drinking age is 21, or shows ID that appears to be valid that she is over 18. The state attorneys who deal with this sort of crime on a regular basis reviewed the case brought by the local police and said in no uncertain terms that there were no real victims. And he put quotes in that. In the Epstein case, no real victims. Their words. They said that the girls knew what they were doing. They brought their best friends after being there a number of times. How could there be a serious crime? The AUSA decided that she would protect the young women of Palm Beach. She sees a need for child safe everywhere she looked. She has been chastised twice by the local judges for hiding information from the court, misleading the court, and had a supervisor represent her in front of a judge that would have disciplined her. Her first subpoena to me asked for all my tax returns, my medical records, my phone book, my plane logs. The girls came to my house. I usually exercised every day, followed by a massage. Most of the time, I would be on the telephone when a girl was brought into the room. Many times they rubbed my feet or back. I never spoke to them at all because I would be on the phone. The room was dimmed, and often I would not even see the girl. If not on the plane, I would talk to the girl. No real ex. Most girls testified they never even touched my GEN Italia at all. Never. These depositions were taken as a result of the government supporting civil suits against me. The end. That was a freaking lot. Forgive me if I take a breath. That was a lot. Let me go ahead and give you that information again so that you can go look yourself. It is dataset 9 EFTA00583305. Now watch. Parnas is going to come out and he's going to be like, breaking news. Hang on. Let me turn my camera on so that y'all can get the full effect. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, you ready? Breaking news, guys! We have found a document with Epstein's words on it. And he's going to get like 2 million views. Which is good because I want people to see this. Absolutely want people to see this. Aaron, if you're watching, could you at least give me a shout out? I'm having to rebuild from my main getting taken down. I'm just saying, could you give me a shout out? Because nobody else found this. I found it. Anyways, that is Epstein's own words. His own, literally, he had vomitus of the mouth through his fingers. He had vomitus of the mouth through his fingers. And he sat down and he just typed this whole thing. And you can clearly see from reading it, from the typos and the very basic mistakes, you can clearly see that he was some kind of emotional way or was in some kind of feels when he was typing that stuff. I was like, what? Say what? Thank you! Good work! Yay! Wait, where's my little thingy? He does write horribly, doesn't he? My gosh, I've seen MAGA with better grammar and punctuation. And he was passive aggressive. Like, seriously. And the way he was blaming the girls, he was like, listen, here's my problem with this. Here's my problem with this whole thing. This was obviously written after he went to jail the first time. This was written whenever they brought new charges against him, right? Because he went and hired all of these people and he went and did all this stuff. So it's obviously in that time span, right? He already knows they have all of this evidence. He already knows they have all of this evidence. And he's just, it's like listening to Trump. He's just blatantly denying it. No, you don't see what your eyes see. No, that's not real. It came from my house. No, don't look over there. Look over here. Are you freaking kidding me? The only fucking honest thing he said in this whole thing was that, where was it? Where was it? I have showed poor judgment in the past and have paid a heavy price for those mistakes. No, the fuck you didn't. You got a sweetheart deal. You did nights and weekends in the lockup, holidays in the lockup to serve your time. You didn't even serve your whole time. Then on probation, you were traveling all over the world, all over the globe. You weren't suffering. You weren't serving. There was no heavy price paid. Yeah, he is real. Right, the victims paid the price. Exactly, those girls paid the price. And on top of that, if anybody else is guilty, it's the fucking government. Because they knew this about you the whole time. They gave you that sweetheart deal. Because you pulled whatever strings you pulled. You knew whoever you knew. And you had enough money to get it accomplished. And so, at the end of it all, you didn't pay any price at all. He also had a massage table at his place of work. Right. The government is guilty because they allowed it to continue. They knew he was doing this. They gave him the sweetheart deal. They let him back out to prey on other girls. They started getting more reports. We saw that. They started getting more reports and they did nothing about it. The government did nothing about it. They were like, same old, same old. Same old, same old. It's just because they all do it too. Exactly, Velvet. That's the most disgusting part is they all do it too. This was the 1,000. Okay, yeah. This is the one that I need to move over here. This one is, wait, what is this? This is, response to, for leave to file additional interrogatories. We're not going to want to see that. This was what's left of our last run. Woman claims watching 3D film made her pregnant. I don't know if they were spitballing ideas for how to get out of stuff. I'm just saying. Okay, so here's the IME. It is 74 pages long. And then we do have, this one that is another really kind of crazy one that's going to be a weird read. And then we're not going to do this tonight. I don't think we're going to get to that tonight, to be completely honest. Well, I'll give you guys a choice. Do you want to do the independent medical exam of Jane Doe 2? Or do you want me to come back over here to the Wayback Machine and we'll look at one of the transcripts from the interview of one of the victims? Tell me what you guys want to do. Reg, you're not good with choices. And I'm going to make my bubble go away for just a minute so that I can do things that TikTok doesn't like. Autopsy, you mean the IME? The IME is a medical exam of Jane Doe. It's not going to be like an autopsy. It's literally a psychological. It's done in anticipation of litigation to either validate or invalidate the claims of injury. So this is going to be a doctor asking a bunch of questions. Okay, we can go ahead and do the medical. We can do the medical. All right. So the length of the evaluation was 9 hours. This is going to be EFTA 01076507. You are going to find it. Oh, you know what I forgot to do first, guys? I have an update on Danny. We were able to raise we were able to raise $127. So we still need to raise, let's see, she was doing 350, so that's 250. So we still need to raise 223. There is a link in my bio. If you guys were here during the afternoon live, you know why we're raising money for Danny. She is on a timetable and rapidly running out of time. Please make the donation through the Square Dot link in my bio. That's the only one that I can use that won't get flagged if too many people send stuff in, because it's literally a donation link. That's what it's for. And please make sure you put Danny in the little box. It's going to force you to enter something in that little box before you can check out. Make sure you put DANI, Danny. All right, here we go. This was done November 17th of 2009. It was requested by Berman, Crichton, Luthier, and Coleman. Plaintiff's attorneys are Merlstein and Horowitz. So this was apparently requested by some of Jeffrey's attorneys, maybe. It was performed by either Richard C.W. Hall, we'll find out at the end, or Ryan C.W. Hall, MD. I'm guessing maybe they're brothers. Why they both have C.W. Hall, I don't know. In probably Lake Vista or Lake Mary, probably Lake Mary, it looks like. Purpose of the examination to determine the evaluee's mental condition, diagnosis, prognosis, and disability status as related to allegations of SA. Examination. The examination consisted of question and answer psychiatric evaluation with special interest in obtaining the history and performing a mental status examination with regard to the evaluee's thinking, reasoning, behavior, mood, logic, intellectual functioning, intelligence, and judgment. The evaluee was seen at the offices of Pros Court Reporting Agency located at 250 Australian Avenue, Suite 1500, West Palm, for an independent medical evaluation for 9 hours from 9:17 a.m. to 7:26 p.m. with breaks from 9:20 to 9:21, 10:50 to 11:01, 1 to 1:51, and 3:49 to 3:56. Damn, baby, you are a beast. You did that IME all in one day. Bravo. Props to you. That takes a strong person. It says, my opinion is based on examination findings, psychological test results, and review of records received, and may be subject to change pending receipt of any additional records and or additional information. The following tests were used: the MMSE, which is the mini mental state examination, and the MCMI-3, which is the multi-axle clinical inventory. I'm sorry. Sources of information: amended complaint, answers to defendants' first interrogatories, answers to defendants' expert witness interrogatories, initial replenishable retainer agreement and fee schedule, Kilman Contemporaneous Notes, Kilman Contemporaneous Notes 3, transcripts of interview with Dr. Kilman, tape 1, 2, and 3, DVD of interview with Dr. Kilman, Kilman's summary and self-report of damages. I don't think we need to read all of the records. We also don't need to read the statement of non-confidentiality. They know that the IME is going to be provided to opposing counsel. Review of therapy records and wellness resource. Hang on, let me catch my breath. I'm sorry. I'll scroll it up so y'all can read it while y'all are waiting on me. Okay, let's do this. We're going to run through this fast. I'm going to give you the stuff that's important and skip over the stuff that's not. But there's going to be a lot. It is 74 pages. This is where I get to shine and show you how we read IMEs. All right, patient, oh no, we're up here, sorry. A progress note on 728 of 6. Client is 18-year-old female. Client presents with complaints of racing negative thoughts, needs perfection in bedroom order, very irritable, angry, poor concentration and focus, tired all the time and lack of motivation, uptight about everything. Says she has many explosions inside of her. Patient also states that that in 11th grade, she was 17 years old. She went to Jeffrey Epstein's house with a friend. She would not state the friend's name. She stated that she received money for actual favors and that she went to his house one time. She was asked to remove all of her clothes except her underwear and massage him, excluding his G area. Patient does not know why she went, nor does she want to talk about it very much. Plan refer to blank Guinan. That's just a referral to continue therapy sessions. Note of 9606. Patient has canceled several appointments, does not feel she needs therapy for Epstein issue, does not want to talk about it, and feels that it does not affect her in her life. She is unhappy at home. She feels home is very dysfunctional. She has to keep her bedroom door locked, or older stepbrother blank tries to do actual stuff with her. Hates living at home, but cannot afford to move out. Saw blank Gideon and was prescribed Lexapro 20 milligrams, but is not taking it regularly. Explained to patient that the symptoms she was having were of depression and medication taken regularly would probably help her. Note of 9/20/06. Still feeling depressed, having money problems and vehicle problems, not attending school regularly, and still very unhappy. 10/25/06 started to feel a little better, but still very frustrated at home. Declined the suggestion of family therapy at this time. We discussed my long history with her mother and stepfather, but client felt that family therapy was useless, that nothing would change. Client wants to make enough money to move out. 11/8/06. Client still struggling with depression and not functioning very well in her life. Stated that she would have to call me to reschedule because she didn't have her work schedule. Review of medical records of Dr. Mark Agresti, psychiatrist. Intake note 7/29/06. The patient was an 18-year-old white female who was referred by blank blank, recently showing signs of depression, no energy, no motivation, ineligible on task. Everything irritates her. Eating junk food, doesn't fall asleep until 12 p.m., wants to sleep all day, lives with mother, smokes cigarettes, occasionally alcohol, smokes a za occasionally, actually abused Jeffrey Epstein, patient involved now with ex scandal, has OCD behavior. Everything is always in its proper place. Things have to face a certain way. Patient awake, alert, and oriented ×3, denies auditory visual hallucinations, feels paranoid. Everything is moving and talking about her thoughts of suicide in the past. No plan, denies homicidal thoughts. Assessment Axis 1, OCD, nicotine abuse was crossed out. Chronic depression was written on the side. Axis 2, deferred. Axis 3, various. Ineligible kidney stones. Axis 4, lives with mother and siblings. Axis 5, 60, plan Zoloft 50 milligrams. We can skip reading her medications moving forward. 8/21/06, patient unable to take Simbax, chest discomfort and tightness. Patient discontinued med, continues to feel sad and anxious, eating and sleeping okay, doing more things for herself. 9/13/06, patient feeling better I think that's illegible. I'm sorry. I'm misreading that word. Funny that it's illegible. Patient feeling better, blank too low. Not as depressed, no sadness, positive focus, positive concentration majority of the time. Eating and sleeping good, on task, not having panic attacks or anxiety. 10/11/06, patient having highs and lows, mood more often. Patient can't be by herself, mind is racing, goes to the gym daily to be with people. Eating fair, not sleeping well. and then that's medication. 102506, patient only on Lamicidol starter kit. Start 50 milligrams a day. No panic attacks or rage since she started. I'm not even going to keep trying to pronounce it. Eating and sleeping good. No depression or sadness as much. She was prescribed. Okay, so they upped it. 111306, patient off Lamictal, I guess it's Lamictal, 1 week. Was on 50 milligrams Zoloft, took 100 milligrams, feels high and low coming through. Eating and sleeping good. Unable to take Zoloft, had an allergic reaction on meds. Face started to swell up. Ranger, age, depression, sad. Lower wisdom teeth pulled out. Note below. I don't know if that's note below or note added or whatever. MB. Dr. Agristi obtained his medical degree from Finch University of Health Sciences in Chicago. Oh, okay, you don't need to know that. That's just his qualifications. Medical records of Dr. Richard Hayes. 831 of 2000 has decreased hearing, status post adenoidectomy, and bilateral PE tube replacement. 12/4 of 01 indicates a date of accident of 8/1/94. Blank was in the 8th grade and engages in cheerleading. She was being seen for evaluation of a flexion deformity. Oh, okay, this is kidney stones. We don't need to read that. That's going to be her medical, not her psychological. And let's see. Negative for chlamydia. That's good. A patient, a 17-year-old female complaining of lower right quadrant pelvic pain. Patient has ovarian cyst burst 1 year ago, also has kidney stone. At the time, patient being painful, sharp, comes and goes times 1 week, worse with eating. Okay, so that we don't really need to worry about any of that. That's her well woman checkup. Taped interview with Detective Ricari on 12/13/05. She reported to officers that she was introduced to Mr. Epstein by Blank and that Blank told her that she had found a way of making money, quote. She also stated that Blank told her if I ever told anybody, she would boom, boom, boom my tail. And so I didn't hand her ass, basically. And so I didn't even know what she was talking about. And I was like, okay. And just massage him for 45 minutes and get $200, and she would pick me up after work. Right before we got in there, she is like, okay, he might ask you to take your shirt off or something, but it didn't matter, so I said, okay. She indicated that the first time she went was approximately December 2004. She thinks she was approximately 16 at the time. Her account of events of when she went there, he told me to rub his nips like, just pinch them or something. And I was all right. And then he had one hand on his, and then just the letter P. And then he tried rubbing my chest, and he had the middle of my bra was the snap off part, and he snapped it off, and he was trying to feel my chest. And then he just grabbed my thighs, and he was baiting the master at the same time. And he went down to, should I say that, and I'm not going to say the word lower front part. He didn't take off my underwear, but he pushed them to the side, and he's feeling down there, and he is don't worry, I'm not going to go in. Then he started rubbing down there, and then he kept talking dirty. He's like, oh, your C feels so H and stuff. And I backed away. I backed away, and I said well, I don't know if I should do that. And I was got really hesitant and so scared that I didn't know what to do. Kind of you just want to get it over with. And then I was feeling so tense. I guess that was why he was saying. And then he actually stuck his fingers in me, and I backed away again. He goes, oh, don't worry. He was like, I'm sorry. Then he went back to the outside, and he was still touching things. And finally he finished himself, wrapped up his towel, and said there was $200 on the counter, and there was an extra $100 for Blank. And then after I told him, I backed away, and I was kind of shaking my head no. He was like, okay, I'm sorry. And then he kind of still put his fingers down there, He was just like pushing really hard, like, I don't know. It just felt like his fingers weren't I and then an N afterwards me, but it was close enough to where it still felt weird. That's why when I go out, I was freaking out. But I didn't even say anything to her, and she asked me what happened, and I told her what happened, and she said, "Oh, it's okay. He did that to one of my friend. He did that to one of my other friends I brought here." And I was like, "And you let him do that and you still got me into there?" And she's like, "Oh, it's okay. You got $200. Does it matter?" I said, did you have to do that?" She said, "No." I was like, "All right, then you don't know how it feels." She was like, "Let's just go shopping and stuff." And I was like, "No." Question. So you're standing there, your bra's been unsnapped. What kind of panties do you have on? Answer, a thong. Question. So you only went there that one time? Answer, yeah. Question. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Answer, yeah. There was another girl that like blank split everything with. There were partners in doing that. Question, who was that? Answer, this girl blank. Review of police records. A police report dated 9/30/05 notes that blank filed a domestic violence complaint against his stepfather, blank blank stepfather. While the police were talking to blank, he stated blank has never had his bottom kicked, and he was going to kick his bottom. Blank was arrested at that time. Blank received a domestic violence package. Prior to the arrest, blank has smashed blank's bedroom door open with a hammer and entered the room and used the hammer to smash holes in the speakers, guitar, and two stereos. A police report 10/26/04 indicates that blank, who I believe was blank's boyfriend, had a very bad za addiction. The boyfriend's name was blank. Review of court records on blank 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 mother. A divorce notice notes that the marriage broke up in April 1992. Review of police records on blank blank father. A Palm Beach County Sheriff's report of 12/2/92 shows that blank blank left messages on blank blank's answer machine, which stated the following. One said, "Get out of the house. I'm coming to get you." The second message was, "I'm coming over there. Get out of the fucking house." The third message was, "Fuck you." The fourth message was, "You're a SL and then UNT." On the fifth message, he threatened to beat up her boyfriend. It was also noted in the report that she says he has beat her up in the past, and she did not press charges, and she did allow a restraining order to end without renewing it. A police report as of 4/6/93 noted comments attributed to blank that stated blank hit his wife blank in the face and then started arguing. She stated, "Before I arrived, he got into his vehicle and left." A police report dated 10/2/93 noted Mrs. Blank stated that her ex-husband blank keeps calling her house and threatening her and her boyfriend blank blank. They stated that he calls up and states that he is going to come over and unalive them. Mr. Blank stated to blank, "Get off the effing phone or I'll unalive you, a-hole." I, police officer, then pick up the phone and address myself as D.S. Amon with PSO, and the white male identified as blank stated he did not care. He would come over and unalive me too. He then hung up the phone. Interview with Dr. Killman, 12/4/08, tape 1. Dr. K, you already told me that you don't like to travel out of state. L, yeah, I really don't like airplanes altogether, actually. I just don't like the fact that you're in a vehicle that really high up in the air, and if something small happens, you can pretty much unalive. I just pretty much stay in the safe zone, actually. I like to be in a comfort zone. This is just a little bit of my comfort zone. This is just a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm just very nervous. I get nervous. Dr. K, are you generally a nervous person? L, like I said, I'm not comfortable. I get really nervous and I start like moving around and I can't stop. I can't really talk quite clear sometimes because I'm so nervous, and it's just kind of shaking inside. Dr. K, have you been a shy person? L, not really necessarily. I'm not really shy. I used to be friendly, more friendly towards people that I didn't know, maybe. My mom used to always say that I would. I was too friendly to people sometimes, and maybe that's what got me into trouble. But now I think I'm like overprotective of myself. Now I always feel like people are following me or something or for some reason. L, I live in Richmond with my boyfriend and 4 other people. I'm pretty much hanging out and having fun instead of working. I'm having a little bit more fun, like I'm doing activities and stuff. Well, I've been going bike riding with my boyfriend. We have a half pipe. So I've been learning how to skateboard, and I've been doing more ongoing things instead of like staying in the house and stuff like that. From page 10, L. Richmond is it's kind of like dark in certain places. I'm riding my bike through those places. Like, I don't know, kind of to show yourself to not be scared of something, trying to overcome your fear of being scared of like the dark and like the bad neighborhood. And it's not as bad as I thought. Like, I'm actually having fun going and riding bike in the GHETTO parts of the city. I'm not going to say that word. But I don't know. I thought it would be a lot different and a lot scary, and it's not. Page 12, Dr. K. What part of Virginia were you in? L. I was in Midlothian, Virginia. Page 14, L. It feels like everybody is relying on me so much. Goes on to describe family members and how they rely on her. There's a lot of pressure being put on me, but her family, don't know that. And it's a lot at times, actually. So pretty much just kind of shut myself away from the world so that I don't have to deal with everybody and everything. From page 15, these are going to be extensive. We'll skip past this if you want to read it. Because this is going to be a lot of back and forth with her mental health, and let's just try to be a little bit respectful. We'll get down here to what he opined. Childhood history. Do you guys want to hear the childhood history? Okay. Childhood history. During childhood, ages 5 to 12, her age range. Blank notes that she had lots of friends and that she was a good student. She liked to have fun. She was a cheerleader and enjoyed going to football games. She frequently cheered for her brother's pee-wee and flag football teams. She states the home environment was hectic, but there was, quote, never a dull moment, and that, quote, there was a lot going on all the time in a house with 7 children. She reports no serious episodes of domestic violence, but stated that her brothers would wrestle each other, quote, like boys always do. There was one episode of arguing that blank was aware of when her stepfather pushed her mother down on the couch. MB, this is in stark contrast to the comments made to Dr. Killman. The police reports indicating that the police were called to the house many times for domestic violence issues between her biological father, mother, and stepfather, her stepfather and her brother, and her stepbrother and her mother. Blank was disciplined by losing her computer privileges. She denied ever being spanked. As an adolescent, she denied any domestic violence issues involving her. Not with me, quote. She notes that there was one incident when her stepfather physically smacked her on the cheek after she tried to interfere while he was yelling at one of his sons. She reports, She reports there was frequent arguing in the house over issues of whose kids had caused which problems. It was arguing because, once again, his kids versus my mom's kids. However, she states this arguing did not really affect her and was not a big thing since she generally kept to herself. When there was arguing, she withdrew, hung out with friends, or would stay in her room and paint her nails or play with her dolls. Again, stark contrast to what she reported to Dr. Killiman and blank blank, where she identifies family strife, arguing being a big problem. Oh, hang on a second, guys. My battery's dying. Hold on. There we go. It's gonna ask me to trust it. Hold on. There we go. It's gonna hang on. It's gonna ask me to trust it. Hold on. Okay. Identifies family strife, arguing being a big problem that she would routinely, quote, hide when her stepfather came home, and indicated that she was spanked, unfairly punished if she discussed topics within the family. Blank reports in general she was a good child, that nothing happened to her, that the only traumatic memory in her life was her interaction with Jeffrey Epstein. She reports no other sexual abuse and no other traumatic, inappropriate, or odd situation occurred involving her. Again, in stark contrast to what she stated to Dr. Kleiman when she reported on a paper and pencil test that she, quote, had SA by a family member, and verbally reported to Dr. Kleiman multiple occurrences where her stepbrother blank was actually inappropriate and she was fearful of him. Blank notes that she attended church while growing up and that she still tries to attend church. Since returning to Tennessee, she is currently looking for a new church to attend. She describes herself as being spiritual and believing that there is a higher power. In summary, Blank's account of her childhood is markedly different than the account that she reported to Dr. Kleiman, where she reported that there was frequent arguing in the house, that there were multiple episodes of DV, which she remembered that involved the police, that she was punished by spanking, that the stepfather had an anger management problem, and that people in the house were fearful and often hid in their rooms when he returned home. She also reported to Dr. Kleiman how her stepbrother with cerebral palsy was frequently actually inappropriate with her, was found undressed in her bed, and had, quote, messed with her shoes, had come into her room in the middle of the night while she was sleeping and stared at her, and had touched her sister while the sister was working on a computer. These differences do not appear to be errors of omission, since blank blank was asked direct questions about DV, how she was disciplined, and whether any SA or inappropriate situations occurred. In fact, she appeared to minimize negative events other than Epstein whenever possible, such as by saying, quote, the stepfather might have had anger issues, but that wasn't even that bad, end quote, or that, quote, my brothers would always wrestle each other like boys always do, you know, brothers, end quote, when asked about domestic violence in the house. That's just her education, employment. I can't read that because then they'll take me out. Trauma history. Here we go. Blank notes that blank was a good friend. Blank passed away at age 20 while blank was living in Virginia. She states that a semi-truck ran a red light and hit blank's car, unaliving her. Blank stated that she had known blank since 9th grade. Blank was one of her best friends who had been very supportive of her while she was going through a rough time in her relationship with blank. Blank's loss still upsets blank blank even after approximately 2 years has passed. Blank blank became tearful while discussing blank's passing. Blank notes that she had other friends who have passed, one of whom was a friend named Blank who was unalived in an auto accident when blank was 18. Blank, a boy blank casually dated in the 12th grade, was pew-pewed down at a party. Blank was not at the scene when it occurred. Blank reported that the loss of her friends at such a young age got me sad thinking about how life could be so short. Moving history. Was born in Buffalo, New York. She moved to Florida when she was approximately 1 year old. Mother and stepfather moved to Virginia when she was approximately the 4th or 5th grade. They moved back to Florida when she was in the 7th grade. She notes that she initially liked Virginia. I guess they stayed in Florida. She notes that she initially liked Virginia, not want to move, although she was somewhat hopeful that she could reconnect with old Florida friends that she when she moved back, which did not happen. Continued to live in Florida until her first semester at community college. Then moved back to Virginia, where she still had some friends. Then moved from Virginia to Tennessee for the first time when her lease was up on her apartment in Virginia. States initially she did not want to continue to date blank when she left Virginia because she did not think a long-distance relationship would work, especially with her worries over people being unfaithful. She notes, however, that when she moved to Tennessee, she and blank talked every day on the phone, and she was able to maintain the relationship. She lived with her family in Tennessee for approximately 5 months and then moved back to Virginia to live with blank. She again moved from Virginia back to Tennessee after her auto accident in 2009. She reports that she had no periods of homelessness. Legal history reports that she's received 2 speeding tickets, with the fastest being 29 miles per hour over the speed limit and the second 15 miles per hour over the speed limit. She has never been charged with DUI, reckless or careless driving. She notes that when she first lived in Virginia, the police were called to a party she was having at her apartment and that she was ticketed for underage drinking. She notes that the judge told her, "This is your lucky day," and that if she did not have any other legal problems, he would drop the charges. Substance abuse looks like alcohol at age 17. It looks like the ZA in 11th grade. She got into that nose candy at age 21. Lucy Starlight Diamonds, age 19 or 20. Whippets and Huffing It Nitrous, while in Virginia. Looks like Xannies and Perks, Addies. Parties, violence history. Let's see, notes that most violent thing she's ever done was get into a fight with blank blank, aka Jane Doe 3, who is the girl who introduced her to Mr. Epstein. Blank notes the fight started due to blank taking her to Epstein's house, and also quote, also that blank felt that I was a SLUT and she kept calling me that. The fight occurred at a party approximately 6 months after blank went to Epstein's. Blank noted that she carried a baseball bat under the front seat of her truck. She stated, "I would carry it underneath the seat in my truck because I always had fears that I would be taken advantage of because everybody kept telling me I was such a little girl. And I was always out until all hours of the night, and I needed to be careful. And I just felt like if I didn't have a guy with me, I would have to be able to defend myself with another way." Let's see. And then we've already read her recounting of her interactions. Past psychiatric history reports that she had no psychiatric problems before Epstein, except that she might have had ADD, same as my mom, but blank really wasn't depressed. She stated that before she went to Mr. Epstein's, she was a passive type of person. She always felt that she needed to please people and that she always liked to be a positive person. She stated that she always agreed to do things, did not think them through, and always said yes. She did not realize that there were mean people in the world that she had to learn to say no to. She was afraid that if she said no to anyone, then she would not be considered a cool girl and that people would quit asking her to do things with them. She had always considered herself to be a social butterfly. During blank one semester of college, 19 years old, her mother encouraged blank to go see blank blank, a psychologist, due to her behavior and due to her mother knowing about the Epstein incident. Note, when she was interviewed by Dr. Kleiman, she also reported that blank actually inappropriate behavior was another reason her mother wanted her to go see Dr. Blank. Blank notes that around this time she was experiencing a lot of anger and was pushing holes in the wall of the house. She stated, I just would get angry, lock my door, and lock myself in my room, and I wouldn't want anyone to come in. She noted that her mother and stepfather had both gone to see the psychologist separately, then went together, and that her stepfather had started to take medication, although Blank did not know what it was for. Blank saw Dr. Blank for about 3 months and reports she found the counseling helpful. Let's see, anxiety, depression, OCD, and depression. That's redundant. IMEs usually have a lot of the same information over and over again because they summarize it in sections. And in those sections, see, like past medical history, we've already been through her medical history. And so we already know what her medications were and all of that because we saw them in there. Review of symptoms. This is standard operating procedure for a medical dictation. It's just kind of the physical review. And then this is the diagnoses, which are going to be in the same line. Recorded second one with Dr. Kleiman. That's all going to have been summarized in the stuff we already read. Let's see. Psychoactive substance abuse. Adderall, nitrous, whippets, Xanny, alcohol, za, booger sugar, shrooms. Looks like there's a diagnosis of a mood disorder versus bipolar. They think maybe substance induced. Dependent personality disorder with depressive personality traits, borderline personality features, and histrionic personality features. Ruled out panda syndrome. Currently involved in her lawsuit. And then these are the recommendations. Basically, he was telling them to alter their responses and everything to fit more what is available. Because you got to remember, this was an IME by his attorneys. So in other words, his attorneys were the ones that were paying for it. They wanted their expert, this is their expert, to alter, to give them advice on altering their case based on what he finds. And it's his job to find just cause for why it is that she shouldn't be believed. That's all redundant. Again, just another one of those summaries. Let's get down here. Where is his? Okay, so in estimating the percentage of impact Mr. Epstein's behavior on her total psychiatric picture, one would estimate 0 to 5% causative. So that's his opinion. 0 to 5% of her current psychological issues or deficits or whatever you want to label them as is 0 to 5% impact on her life. That's literally all they're saying. And it was apparently done by both of them because they both signed it. That was a lot to read. I can definitely do some digging for some more IMEs if you guys want to see more of them for like some of the victims who were more regularly essayed and things like that. I'm gonna mute you guys for just 1 second. Do we have any mods in the house? Yeah. Let me bring up Tanya and let her make some announcements. I'm gonna take just a brief break.
Hi guys, you guys are doing awesome. Thank you for being here. Thanks for tapping to 120K. Let's keep that going, please. Thank you for helping with the gift goals. Remember that some of this stuff gets really heavy, and if you need to take a break, please do so. Don't let it trigger you because it will. And so make sure that you, that you regulate your nervous system whenever you can. Listen to some calming music, do whatever it is that you need to do to bring your peace and calm yourself down. And for Bunny, I always tell her to throw that plastic water bottle. It's okay. It doesn't do any damage. So go ahead and do that. Give her a follow if you're not following so that you get notified when she goes live. She says she won't take it personal if you unfollow her, if you're here just for these, but hey, you never know what her other content might be and you might like it. So don't unfollow her, just give her a follow. I like that, Andrea. That's awesome. I have a little voodoo doll that I bought at as a souvenir in a store years ago. And I, of course don't practice or believe in that, but hey, if you've got something like that, then just go ahead and, poke it, drop it, whatever you need to do, whatever makes you feel better, and keep smashing those likes because it helps protect the live, especially when we're talking about, things. I've been through a couple of IMEs, and yes, the other attorney always tries to, the other doctors that the attorneys bring in always try to discredit you in any way they can.
Yeah, the sucky thing about civil litigation, especially with stuff like this or car accidents or anything where you're claiming any sort of mental or physical injury, you're going to go through more than one IME. You're going to go through an IME from an expert that's selected by the people that you're suing or you're defending yourself against. And then you're going to go through an IME on your own because essentially what they're going to do is the goal. And this is the legal world is one of the most inane things because what happens is they literally will pay thousands upon thousands of dollars for experts. And then you'll pay thousands upon thousands of dollars for experts just to cancel their expert out.
Mhm.
Like, litigation is
Yeah.
one of the most expansive wastes of money.
Well, and when you have something that's absolutely obvious, it's really even worse, but they're going to do it anyways.
Yeah, because their job is to, well, you got to remember that attorneys, as part of their professional code, they all agree to give their client the most zealous representation possible. And unfortunately, for people who are on defense side, especially when they're on defense side for cases like this, that means you got to be a really shitty person because you're going to have to defend your client against stuff that they probably did, stuff that is probably going to be really heinous, and it's going to make you look like a shitty person because we're all human. We all look at those attorneys and be like, how the hell could you ever defend them? Because they're paid to do it. That's how. So if anybody wants to go and read through the whole thing, it's EFTA 01076507. Again, I'll say, if you are going to do that, then please be respectful of the fact that this is a victim and don't go using it for nefarious purposes. And if you are the kind of person that would use it for nefarious purposes, please get the hell out of my life because we don't have space for people like that around here. We really don't. They've been through enough. So there's that one. And then this one. Okay, so this is the crazy one. This is the one that has like Cash Patel in it and stuff. This was, don't know who it was from, but they sent it to a whole crap ton of people. Just everybody. Let's see, like Miles and Kathy Alexander, South Africa client, attorney privilege regarding Alan Dershowitz, legal services to Andrew, royal family. Like, this is going to be another one of those that's going to be probably like a wild ride. It's going to be a wild ride. If we have new folks here, we go live every single day with the Epstein Files, at least once a day, between 8 and 9 every night Eastern time zone for the Americas. If you would like to be notified when I go live because you'd like to keep up with the raw review of the Epstein Files, then go ahead and hit that follow button. You are more than welcome to unfollow me after we get done going through the Epstein Files. If that's the only reason you were here, you will not hurt my feelings. And then to help me on the algo, when you repost it, if you could also share it to your story, that gets me more onto the For You page, and that means that this information gets into the hands of more people. We want people to see this information. People are not angry enough. They need to get angrier, and the only way they're going to get angrier is if they have to look at this and see what really happened and open their eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and drop Tanya back down. Thank you for coming up, Tanya.
Of course.
And I'm going to drink the last of my water. And then we're going to run through part of this. And then I'm probably going to shut it down for the night. As you can hear, I'm having some allergy issues because the weather changed suddenly. And I really kind of just want to take something for my allergies and do a breathing treatment and then go to bed. Because I feel kind of ick. Let me go ahead and zoom in on this for you a little bit. See if I can get y'all a little bit closer. Okay, this is going to be EFTA 00143470. This is going to be in data set 9, and it was sent February 21st of 2025, so just last year. Guys, please remember that we are raising money for Danny. She is fresh out of a DV situation and a CSA situation, a child SA situation. And I need you to really read between the lines when I tell you this. She had to leave with her 2-year-old little girl. I need y'all to read between the lines. So if you are in any sort of way and have the capacity to give anything financially, there is a link in my bio, the square dot link. Just put Danny in the text box. You can give whatever you want. We have 379 people in here. If every single one of you gave $1, we would have more than enough for her to travel to get the procedure that she needs, because she can't get it where she is and she's running out of time. She's currently staying in a shelter and everything else. She already has some money for the procedure. She just needs the gas money and a couple of nights in like a Motel 6 because she's got to take her little girl with her. All right, let's go ahead and start reading. To the FCA, FCC, Cyril, and to Cash, I would like to name 2 very important witnesses that you will get ample information, I know for a fact, and no investigation can proceed without their testimony. Cyril, please can you assist Cash Patel, the FCA, and the FCC with getting witness testimony from Miles and Kathy Alexander, the estate managers of the Epstein Island. No longer will you protect them, Cyril. If you do, I want you arrested. Where are Mike's and Kathy Alexander? Cyril, I want to know exactly who was in the island, and they too named witnesses in my own litigation. David, why did you never depose them when I asked you to? Oh, depose them when I asked you to. And then on February 21st, like a little bit earlier than that, sent an email that says, Cash, you can have access to all my emails, bank accounts, text messages, WhatsApp messages, social media accounts, everything. Blank, another of David, Boies, B-O-I-E-S, and Brad's clients also has 4 or 5 years of recorded conversations. So please do listen to each one, because I need them to please for when this goes to court. As for client attorney privilege here, there is none. Hang on, I'm trying to get some. I gotta make some more lip gloss. Hold on, let me see if I got some over here. Give me a second, guys. My lips are dry as hell. Let me see. That's not it. What about this? Nope. Do I have any small batches already? I know I do. Come on. At least I thought I did. Dang it! Did I really run out of all of them? Oh no, here's one right here. Yeah, buddy. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just do a little pineapple dip real quick. Okay. I did get several people asking about my lip glosses. I sent messages back to you guys if y'all are interested. This is the empty container, but you get a full one just to give you an idea of the size. I make my own gloss lip oil fusions. They're super, super nice. I can even do them with pH reactive so that it stains your lips pink and stuff. Hit me up on the back end if you're interested. Anyways, let's continue on. Cash, you can have access to all of my emails, bank accounts, text messages, WhatsApp messages, social media accounts, everything. Blank, another of David Boy's and Brad's clients also has 4 or 5 years of recorded conversations. So please do listen to each one because I'll need them to please for when this goes to court. As for client attorney privilege, here there is none. Actually less than none. Like minus infinity, if that even exists, is the amount of client attorney privilege here, especially as someone like Dershowitz should never ever have been providing legal services to Andrew and the royal family in the first place, especially in an ongoing criminal investigation. You're a bunch of punks is what you are, who can't keep it in your underpants, which is why you all are still a threat to children and young women. I wasn't going to scream all of that. This file number is EFTA 00143470. Dershowitz, I was told directly by Lisa Bryan, who worked in the Netflix series Filthy Rich, that another victim came forward saying that you essayed them and confessed this to Lisa Bryant. So Cash, please, can you take a witness? Can you take a witness O from Lisa Bryant? I don't know what that O is supposed to mean. As this does involve me, I request a full transcript of exactly word for word what was said in these exchanges between Dershowitz and the royal family, as is my legal right under the circumstances to have them. Also, as I have demonstrated that... Is this from Ghislaine Maxwell? Couldn't be. We'll keep going. Also, as I have demonstrated that the attorneys have not provided adequate or equal services to the class, especially as I'm aware there is a current class action going on. There is zero client attorney privilege for the attorneys and other Epstein victims and accomplices. Zero David Boys, Sigrid, and Brad. Sigrid, I guess is how it's pronounced. And Brad. Cash Patel, please can you work alongside the FCA and the FCC? Please help us, Cash. And then, like an hour earlier on the exact same day, they wrote, Cash Patel, as you know, I wanted to sue the FBI. After my years and years of experience evidence, I have more than enough evidence. Cash, I would like to work with you. My objective has still remained the same from when I first came forward, which was to acquire justice and stop the perpetrators whom are yet to be convicted harming other children and young women. I don't know who this is now. If they came forward, they might be a victim. I don't know. I didn't sign up for this whenever I first came forward, but I will finish it. Providing you are the good guy you say you are, I'm willing to put all of my faith and trust in you. Thank you so much, bystander. I do want a full investigation into Prince Andrew and his family's involvement in perverting the course of justice, especially as it's the same family, same ex-trafficking ring. I'm blank and blank, and I've noticed there have been quite a few little visits between Cyril and South Africa. Hey, Williams, scumbag, I don't care if Yorumo likes you. You are still a scumbag, and I know you're game, mate. Somebody from across the pond. Somebody of European descent, maybe. Any interaction that Dershowitz, as a named defendant, and Prince Andrew, another named defendant, must be thoroughly investigated, as this breaks all international law under the circumstances and doesn't even the allowed legally in the U.S. So I don't know why Debelos boys didn't pick up on this. David, can you explain yourself, please? They do not get free passes because of who they are, and there should have been zero contact. Never mind Dershowitz providing legal services to the royal family under any circumstances. This dude types like crap too. Now I appreciate President Trump is a fan of the royal family. However, the same law should apply to all. Please, can you also interview blank, another Epstein employer, wherever she may be? I think that's supposed to say employee. On the same day, 40 minutes earlier, the same person emailed, "Congratulations, Cash." And then there is some X post, and it says, "Best video ever of you, you rock. Please may I report blank to you, and please can you investigate all the FBI agents, including blank, 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 blank. Please can you start the interview all Epstein girls again. Start the interview all Epstein girls again with the knowledge that not all are victims but employees like blank, 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 etc." And then the day before that, on February the 20th, they wrote, "Please find attached photos of blank in my house in blank. He moved in!" Exclamation points. And then again on February 20th, 11 minutes earlier, sent a CBS News Chicago article about Thomas Pritzker, a Hyatt billionaire, Jeffrey Epstein documents. And then an X comment saying end wokeness status. I guess end wokeness is the user. I also put forward Thomas Pritzker and the Pritzker family as named witnesses. Gayle King perhaps too can tell the FCA what you know about Thomas Pritzker and his involvement with Epstein. Any business associated with the Pritzker family must be investigated immediately. Big ol' redaction. And again, any case or trial for that matter cannot go forward without blank blank's full testimony in court. And then how much earlier? Let's see, 1348. And then so 15 minutes earlier than that, they wrote, "There are no words to describe today. No words will do any justice for the pain Israel is feeling, and especially of the loved ones that lost those on the 7th of October Hama attack. I don't want to make this sad, horrific day about me, but you should know that I have included advocate Timbeka." I can't even try that last name. Let me see. It's right here. I can't do that. Who is one of the South African advocates in the case against Israel. I repeatedly went to South Africa for hello and phoned the office of where he worked and given this email address blank. To date, I have not received any help from blank. Please note that an exceptional amount was paid to South Africa from the Biden administration. Why is this important? Because here is the same advocate about stealing land, and then some sort of Daily Mail. Let's see, what is it? Exproportionate act damages all South Africans. A reply to that person's name. So Timbeka, I want to ask you personally, as I have included you in all correspondence, is a Palestine life worth more than a South African to you? Under the circumstances, and who Amal Clooney's husband is, she too should be removed immediately and investigated. And then on the same Thursday, the day before that last run, Some an hour before, the same person wrote, to the SCA, David Boys, Sigrid Blank, Jennifer Friedman, Paul Castle, blank blank is a witness for you. Ask Jess Staley who blank blank is. Why is blank blank important? Jess Staley. Please see email correspondence attached about blank blank, because she was and still is a long-term employee of the Epstein trafficking ring that is still running and being funded today. Brad Edwards, I named blank blank as an accomplice who helped facilitate the running of the ex-trafficking ring. So how on earth can you then go on to represent her? That is why Jess Staley got in touch with my attorney, Jennifer Freeman, and wanted me to testify in the Deutsche Bank case. Jess Staley knows exactly who I am, and so do his attorney. Jennifer Freeman stopped me from testifying against blank blank because the victims would lose any compensation payout for being raped and trafficked in that litigation if I testified against blank blank. Whew, this is a lot, guys. And then the day before that last run at what appears to be 7:05 in the evening, I have attached my voice recording with the Metropolitan Police in 2019. Please also find attached another email concerning, hold on. Where is it? Hold on, I gotta check something real quick, guys. I'm sorry. No, not there. Thank you. Why is it? Hold on a second, guys. Just give me a second. I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. It was trying to cancel my daughter's, my little thingy popped up and it was trying to cancel my daughter's conference tomorrow. And I was like, no. Okay, here we are. Let's see. To the SCA, I ever tried. Okay, so everybody knows about this. To the SCA, please can you share any information you have with Kash Patel, the new FBI director, and I hope that you will be forwarding everything to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. I also accused the British government of deleting my medical records at St. Thomas, which was a direct result of what blank did. Again, I will forward evidence. David Tatum and Dr. Abdul Alanzi, who used to own Balfour's Group on Curon Street, are witnesses. I also have a first-hand witness to testify that Jean-Luc Brunel was the biggest distributor of Epstein European girls to the UK. Barring in mind that their Jean-Luc Brunel set up modeling agency in Ukraine and Karen models all these businesses must be investigated. They went to a madam called Bella who worked in North London and trafficked the girls to wealthy individuals. Sadiq, you know. Sadiq, you know this. I guess that's maybe somebody's name. I also put forward blank blank as a witness who named a British prime minister and want this investigated immediately. And I want blank to go to trial and tell the court everything she knows. This obviously ties in with Peter Mandelson Mandelson. Remember, we're going to look back at him again. He is on tap for tomorrow. We're going to take a look at him. We're also going to take a moment to look at Peter Nygard. Because Peter Nygard is described as the Epstein of Canada, and he has ties to the Epstein of the US. So we're going to be going down those two rabbit holes tomorrow. I don't know how far down into them we'll get before we end our lives for tomorrow, but we'll get just as far as we can. Jess Staley, etc. Fact. Attached, Sadi Q is confirmation that you have received every one of my emails and done nothing to help. On Wednesday, 19 February 2025 at 4:18, so 45 minutes earlier, to the SCA, Alina Habba, who is President Trump's attorney, also knows what's going on because she has been included all correspondence months, all correspondence months, and also has evidence of what's been going on behind the scenes. Please can you, the SCA, email Alina on blank. Daniel Bates, your email is attached. You are like a seriously bad case of herpes. You just don't go away. I just need to pause for a moment. Let me try reading that again. Daniel Bates, your email is attached. You are like a seriously bad case of herpes. You just don't go away. I'm not interested in being interviewed by you for the Daily Mail, the same one Alan Dershowitz and blank write for. Please tell the editors at the Daily Mail to go and duck their own faces. Let's just say it. To go and fuck their own faces because I'm not sure if that says go, if it's supposed to be going. It's not even close. But we're just going to go with it. Going to sue them for everything they have done. Since when do journalists get a free pass at breaking every single law and perverting the course of justice in the biggest ex-trafficking case in history with only one damn conviction? Thank you! Only one? The biggest one in the history of all history. Only one? They should be speaking to the SCA, helping to acquire justice for the victims. No. I think, Daniel, instead of hounding me, you should be speaking with the SCA and relaying everything you know to them. Or you can wait for Kash Patel. What do you know about Peter Mandelson? Well, we're going to find out tomorrow what we know about Peter Mandelson. Daniel, you must tell the SCA everything you know. You must tell the SCA everything you know about Peter Mandelson and what you know about Jess Staley and Adam Castellini. Okay, so this is a new name. Who's Adam Castellini? We'll find out. Maybe he needs to be added to the list too. We are on a tight schedule because you know there is a trial, Daniel. There's a trial. Who's on trial right now in February of 2025? Do we know? Interview offer from the Daily Mail. Oh, okay, that's just where he texted him and was like, hey, can I interview you? Wednesday, February 9th, 19th, 25 at 2:57. When was this one from? I like to see how close they are together. At 4:18, 2:57, they must have stopped for lunch. Okay. To the SCA, I would also like to add Rishi Sunak to my witness list as I tried to contact him. He is well aware of the situation as I told the man who called me from his office why I was phoning. Rishi Sunak was my local MP when I lived in blank. I'm attaching the email with George from his office. And then, like 20 minutes earlier, To the FCA, Aaron Laughlin and Brian Kendall at ACFCS. I also want to give you Aaron and Brian's details from the ACFCS, Association of Certified Financial Crime Specialists. And then he lists out their emails. Aaron and I struck up a friendship, and as I write this, I'm crying because I thought she was my friend and loved her very much. She witnessed what was going on with everything with the attorneys and JP Morgan. I even tried to get her to help Brad Edwards in the case. I appreciate the time issue here, so please could you contact Aaron immediately? Please find more stuff attached included. Blank. And then 35 minutes before that, good afternoon, FCA. I would like to again name Daniel Dates. I think it's supposed to be Bates, the journalist, as a first-hand witness and for trying to pervert the course of justice. I've attached the emails from yesterday per Peter Madelson, and it's a bunch of Daily Mail articles on Peter Madelson, Epstein, plan to make Andrew Pete Madelson Star Advisors' new consultancy business. Photos raised questions about Lord Madelson's 10-year friendship with pedophile Epstein. That's what we're looking into, folks. I would also like Rupert Murdoch and David Boyes, Brad Edwards, Sigrid, blank, etc. investigated immediately. In the email from Daniel, he confirms that blank. I also want the SCA to know that I revoked blank in fear of retribution because it was me, blank. I would also like it known in one email to blank that Epstein is referenced and he also helped me with my blank for blank. I'm sharing with you more blank emails and considering Pete Mandelson was meeting Epstein the same time I was being trafficked and raped by Epstein and blank and Simone Jess Staley. Okay, so this is a victim. And Simon Jess Staley. I also want Jamie Demon investigate himself because I have been including his attorney Felicia Ellisworth, Wilmer Hale attorneys, even before the final hearing, so they are well versed on the matter. They have every single email me begging. I wonder if this is from one of the girls that worked in her house or in his house. Did they prosecute any of them for being co-conspirators at all, or like state charges maybe? We'll look into that. We will look into that part, and I will report back as soon as I have answers for that. I have to re-gloss my lips because this is a heck of a lot of talking. I'm not even going to kid you. It's just a heck of a lot of talking. Okay, hey Jamie Demon, Felicia, please, can you contact the SCA immediately? And if you lie, you're in big trouble. Also, to the SCA, can you follow up with Jamie Demon? Maybe it's Damon, about the rest of my, compensation. I think it's compensation, please. I have been begging for a year now, and I think we can all agree that they never ever represented me in any legal capacity. They're still 75,000 euros outstanding, and it is a definite conflict of interest when my attorney blank is a long-term client of JP Morgan himself, representing a victim that is trying to hold JP Morgan accountable. No. Jamie, how many decades were you funding Epstein's trafficking, including mine? I want blank found and held accountable for what he did, and you, Jamie, for what you and your bank have done. This one was Wednesday, February 19th. So now we're at Monday, February 17th at 5:43 p.m. It says, I am attaching Blank's emails that were written at the same time I was being trafficked. Please note that Peter Mandelson met with Jeffrey in January of 2007, the same month I met Sergey Brin. with blank and Adam Castelli. And that's spelled Castellai if anybody wants to look it up. And then on that same day, it looks like maybe an hour earlier. Thanks, guys. Be sure y'all get your heart me's because this is the last thing we're reading through tonight. And we're at 166,000. We have 29 minutes left. Can we get it up to 200,000 before we cut out for the night? That would be like, I would be so happy. Thank you so much for that. At 4:42, they write, to whom it may concern at FCA, please find attached documentation regarding JP Morgan, the class action, etc. I hope all the media who have much knowledge have got in touch, knowing that there is a tight time schedule. I want a full investigation into Peter Mendelsohn, Adam Castellini, Jess Staley's colleague who worked at JP Morgan at the same time. If you have ever worked with any of the attorneys mentioned in my complaint, there's going to be big poo-poo down at the FCA office. And then there's an article from The Guardian. It says, question raised over Lord Mendelsohn's work with Chinese influence operation. And then it says, Keir Starmer, if you or the government in any way help obstruct justice, that will be added in my case against you. Everyone, including you, Rupert Murdoch, is to give information over, more documents to follow. And then on that same day, it looks about 2 to 3 hours earlier, Daniel Bates, please can you contact the FCA immediately with any information you have regarding Peter Mendelsohn, whom you have a keen interest in and know have ample information. Please find attached the voice recording between myself, Linda Singer, and my then attorneys Blank Freeman, who falsely represented me in the class action and about testifying in the U.S. Virgin Islands and JP Morgan's litigation before they settled. Daniel, the email address to report everything you know is blank. Daniel, any information that you have of Jess Staley, Adam Castellini, David Boys, etc., JP Morgan, and the massive miscarriage of justice, I want you to report immediately. And again, I politely ask your boss, Rupert, and Lachlan Murdoch to stuff his compensation offer from the Bloody Sun newspaper up his bum as per your emails attached. I would like him to investigate it, and then we will come up with an appropriate compensation figure. 17, same day. Looks like a couple hours earlier than that. Hi everyone, Daniel Bates gave me this idea, so please thank him for me. I presume the FCA is investigating Peter Mendelsohn and Adam Castellini. Castellini, while they will now, and every one of you are named witness of mine now, every single one. As you all know, there is a case going to trial next month, and I have been emailing you all over a year. I suggest each and every of you reads the email below very carefully regarding Jess Staley, as I have provided Adam was involved and a colleague of Jess Staley at the same time who the moved to Citibank in London, and you know the rest. You have the photos and emails. Now I will give you a head start because when this goes to court, I will find out from each one if you have obstructed justice or helped me acquire justice. I expect every single one of you to report everything to the FCA, and the email address is blank. If you do not help, there will be consequences. Sick of all your shit. Sounds like you're sick of all their shit. I don't blame you. I'm team victim. Complaints from Complaints Scheme. Monday, February 10th. Your recent correspondence with the FCA to blank and blank. Dear Miss Blank, thank you for your voice message of 4 February 2025 and for taking the time to speak to us today. As discussed, our proceedings against Mr. Staley relate to the action we decided to take set out in our decision notice, which is available here. In brief, our action concerns a letter which Mr. Staley approved, which said that 1, he did not have a close relationship with Mr. Epstein, and that 2, he was last in contact with Mr. Epstein well before he joined Barclays. Our case is that both those statements were untrue and that Mr. Staley acted with a reckless lack of integrity in approving the letter because he appreciated the risk that the letter would be misleading. If you have evidence that is relevant to our case, that is relevant to the questions whether the 2 statements were true and whether Mr. Staley was reckless in approving the letter, then we would be grateful if you could provide it as soon as possible. If you do not have evidence yourself, but know of others who can give the evidence that is relevant, then we would also be grateful if you could encourage those people to provide that evidence. You raised concerns about the conduct of different companies and individuals. We are a regulator of financial services in the UK, and our remit, therefore, relates to... Oh my God! I finally got my Galaxy! Thank you, Lady Blue! Thank you! Yes! Way to close it out! That's awesome! Where were we? I'm so excited now. I love the Galaxy. Let's see. You raised concerns about the conduct of different companies and individuals. We are a regulator of financial services in the UK, and our remit therefore relates to the conduct of businesses and individuals in the regulated financial sector. Thank you, Shay. In the regular financial sector in the UK. If you have information or evidence about matters that you think we ought to be aware of, thank you, as Azib. That you think we might be aware of. Wait, where was I? Aware of as a financial regulator, we would be grateful for it. Matters relating to persons outside the financial sector in the UK are not in our remit and accordingly would be better raised with other authorities. Thank you again for getting in touch with us. Yours sincerely, SCA Complaints Department, Risk and Compliance Oversight. So all of the stuff that we just read before that he kept sending to the FCA and everything else, none of that is part of what they can do. And this is one of my fortes, so I can explain it to you. You have all of these different law enforcement agencies for all of this different stuff. Like take your pharmacy benefits, for example. That's usually regulated by the Department of Commerce and Insurance or Department of Insurance or something like that. They have their whole ass own investigative branch to investigate things like not being in compliance, like violating regulatory restrictions, like lying, things like that. So the fact that he's sending over for trafficking to the FCA on a case that's not even related really to trafficking other than his connection on what appears to be some kind of a financial deal, sending it to the FCA isn't really going to help. I think he's hoping that the FCA will probably send it on to the FBI and encourage them to do something about it. But it's hard to say since it looks like they're from the UK. I don't know that they would necessarily turn that over as part of intelligence, as part of their international intelligence, to be honest. Deal for what, though? I don't know what the deal is for. And then let's see. And then it's got usually what's at the footer. And that's it. Like the little notice that you get at the bottom of everything that says this is confidential. If you're not supposed to have this, then please throw it away and stuff like that. You know. Let's see, they aren't sharing international intelligence anymore, right? Right? They're not sharing any of that stuff, are they? I guess I can bring back up the circle now. They're not sharing any of that stuff. And it's just, I don't know. It's intense. We are at 94,000. If we can get it to 200,000, that would be amazing. Tomorrow we will be starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would be New York time or Eastern Seaboard of America time. Adjust for our friends over the pond and down under and in other countries accordingly. And we will be taking a look. Oh my God, what is that? What is that? That was so cool. Flying jets. Oh my God, that was so cool. Where was I? Oh, we're going to be going through the transcript of one of the victims, um, interviews with the police. So we're going to kick it off there from the archives. And then I've got a couple of other things for us to go through. And then once we get through that, it's going to take us about an hour. Once we get through that, we're going to start in on Peter Mandelson, and that lovely little bunch of people, and Peter Nygaard, and see what we can find out about them. You're welcome, Joanne. And see what we can find out about them in the connection of all of this. And what's really wild, and I don't know if you guys know very much about Peter Nygaard. If you don't, take tonight to go read about him, because hey Ash, because he literally had something to do with babies. I don't know how to put this to keep TikTok from tagging me, so I'm gonna try real hard, and if y'all don't get it, go look him up and then you'll get it. He was accused of having this situation where there was the impregnating of multiple wombs, and then the termination prior to full gestation as a means to source stem cells, because the belief was that those stem cells would make you live forever. That would be Peter Nygaard. If you don't know about him, go check him out. That right there. It's NYGARD. Hang on, let me double check for you. Yeah, NYGARD. Peter Nygaard from Canada. What the heck? Hey, quit biting her. Jerk. My boy cat, he likes to bite all the girl cats. I don't know why. He'll get up there and he'll be really nice and sweet and start loving on them. And then he chomps down on them. It's like a toxic relationship. So, yeah. So, read up on Peter Nygaard, and then we're going to delve into him and his connection with Epstein tomorrow, as well as Peter Mandelson. He's trying to mate. He's fixed. All of my cats have been snipped or stitched. And they're all, chipped and all of that. I'm one of those responsible pet owners. My cats don't go outside. I'm not saying it's irresponsible to have your cat outside. I'm just saying that I don't let my cats go outside. When I say I'm responsible, what I mean is I take them to the vet, I get them chipped, so if they get lost, things like that, do that stuff. I took Bob Barker to heart, watching him every day that I was homesick. I got my pet spayed and neutered to help control the pet population. Anyways, we're going to dig into him and Mandelson and their connections to everything, because there are rumors going that some of those people might be players in what's still going on. And please do remember that we are still taking donations for the rest of the day. If you want to help out Danny, you guys know the situation. You can find the link in my bio. It's the square.link. Just use that there. I don't get your information. All I see is what you type in that little box. Just put DANI for Danny. Thank you so much. Remember, she is on a timetable, and I'm just really hoping that we can help her get where she needs to go to do what she needs to do, so that she can start getting back on her feet and get what she needs for her and her 2-year-old, because that's the most important thing right now. I believe that baby's probably going to need some therapy and everything else. So, thank you guys for joining me tonight. We will see you tomorrow morning. I believe I said 10 a.m. that we're going to start. And then, of course, tomorrow night we're live every day between 8 and 9 p.m. and we go until, 11 or, usually right around 11, maybe a little bit earlier. More looked at or arrested, because they're not going to do anything. The only thing that they're going to do is wait for us to lose our ever love and shit over it, and then they're gonna begrudge, oh well, you know, we were investigating, we wanted to make sure that it was gonna be an airtight case, blah blah blah, bullshit. They're just waiting to test the waters of how we're gonna react to this, and I think we are not mad enough. We are not mad enough. It's Eastern time zone. I am in the Eastern time zone, so all of the times I say will be Eastern. So we'll be back on tomorrow between 8 and 9, probably closer to 8. And thank you guys so much. Y'all are absolutely incredible. Don't forget to smash the follow button if you do not follow me. We are live every single day with raw Epstein reviews. We started out this live with Epstein's own words about his case. I came across it. Also head on over to the Tube of You, which you can find my username in my bio, because I am posting the rebroadcasts there. It is taking me a little bit of time to get those up, but I am posting the rebroadcasts there. So if you missed any of the lives, you can go over there and subscribe to that channel, and you'll see whenever I upload new videos. And it's the rebroadcast of the previous lives for the stuff that we've already gone through. So I'm gonna head out, and I thank all of you for being here tonight, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.